All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. My name is Polzin with 905 Sports. Going to be getting into kind of a new segment today. Going to be getting into the Week 13 lineup builder, showing you guys my lineup process for both 20 entry max and also 150 entry max contests using the 9 to 5 lineup optimizer. If you guys enjoy this coverage or if you find it useful, please give me a like and subscribe. That helps me be able to help you guys out. And just a reminder, the 9 to 5 lineup optimizer is available included in the 9 to 5 membership, which is mostly a golf package, but the 9 to 5 membership is just $10 a month. So, basically you're getting a great lineup builder for $10 a month. You can't really beat that. All right. So the very first thing that I like to do is go through and kind of look at which players are popping up value-wise that I may not want that much of, okay? Quarterback-wise, I'm perfectly fine with this, actually. All this is popping up. I'm fine with this. This works out pretty well. So then what I like to do is I just go by salary and call out the players that I want to be on the most. And I just give them a slight bump in their projections just to make sure that they're getting put into the lineups that I want. Now I'm going to be going through and doing stacks with the quarterbacks and everything. This is applying all the knowledge and data that you guys have gone throughout the week. We're going to apply that now to the lineup builder so it can spit out all those lineups to us. So I'm just going to go through and update the players that I want to be on the most. So as you guys know, the quarterback that I want to be on the most is going to be Joe Burrow. So instead of him having a 23 DK point projection, we'll bump it up to, let's just say 26, just to make sure that we're getting a lot of him in there. Okay, another quarterback that I really want to be on is going to be Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence will just bump this up to 23 for a projection. Okay, and you know what? That's it for the two quarterbacks I really need to go out of my way to play. From there, a running back that I like is going to be Kyren Williams. I just want a little bit more of him than I think the lineup optimizer is going to spit out. Let's give him a projection of 16, but I don't want to go too crazy with it. Let's put his max exposure to, let's just say 20 or so. Okay. And then Nick Chubb is the one running back that I feel like we need to go out of our way to play, especially given his current ownership being a little bit lower. And this is something that I'll probably keep up throughout the day or before lineup lock. And if I need to make adjustments prior to lineup lock, I can. Like if he becomes too chalky, then we can adjust this. So I'm going to bump this up to a big number like 24. And I'm pretty good with that. And then a couple of receivers that I want to be on more than the field is going to be Christian Watson. So let's bump his projection up to 17. You guys know my favorite value right now is DJ Chark. So I'm going to bump him up to, let's just say, I don't know, 15, but I really don't want too much of him. Let's do 10% ownership. So I'm about overweight on him as well, but don't want to go too crazy with it. And then another value play that's popping up is actually going to be Chris Moore for the Houston Texans with Brandon Cooks out. Let's bump his projection up to about 13, but once again, don't want too much of him. So let's do 10% ownership. And that's pretty good. So we can just run it right now and I'll show you guys who are going to be the highest owned players right now. So we click generate. All right, so here's the most optimal lineup based on those constraints that I gave it. Okay. One thing that I do want to call out as well, we see that we have two tight ends popping up in there. So what we can do to correct that, I don't really want that. You guys could want that. I will say Pat Freiermuth and George Kittle are both pretty low. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go flex ineligible tight end. Okay. And another thing I can do is max exposure. Let's not go too crazy. Let's do 40% max exposure for the whole field. There we go. Also, I want to call out Pat Freiermuth. Let's see how much we have of him. Too much. Okay. We don't want that much of him. I'm actually going to drop his projection down a little bit because I think that's a little bit too high. Don't see him like breaking the slate. So I'm going to drop it down to 13, but that's still going to be good enough. Let's cap his exposure to about 25. And another player that I think is going to be a strong, never mind. I was going to say Cade Otton, the Bucs tight end. I forgot they're not on this slate. So once again, generate just to see. I'm starting out with 20 just for now. And here we go. We got it set up the way that we want. Now we got to set up so we can get some stacks going. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into settings. And what I like to start off with is going to be the position stacks. So what you want to do, stack a quarterback with a receiver. You could also throw in tight end if you want. I'm going to go with just receiver. And so now we can set it to which teams we want. Okay. So I want Cincinnati, Joe Burrow and T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd, potentially Jamar Chase. I don't mind the idea of Jared Goff and one of the receivers. Maybe not Atlanta, Marcus Mariota, more of a solo stack kind of play, but I do see a route where Kenny Pickett gets there. Okay. I think Aaron Rodgers could have a good game. This is where we're applying that stacking video now. Jacksonville, yeah. I want some of that. That's for sure. The Raiders, yes. Okay, so we are getting a little bit too much here, but that's kind of the slate that we have. And then who else? Maybe KC, maybe Philly, Miami, definitely. And I don't know, not KC and Philly. Philly, you could go, but I'm fine with that. So here we go. We got that set up. Okay, so now if we run it, we'll generate 20 still. We'll see that the quarterbacks are going to be set up with the receivers now. Okay, we can see Trevor Lawrence here. In the lineup that we have Trevor Lawrence, we got at least Christian Kirk or Zay Jones pretty much. Okay. Now let's go down to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, we can see either Tyler Boyd. It's mostly Tyler Boyd that's pulling in. So maybe I do like T. Higgins. So maybe he's someone that we bump up a little bit just to make sure that we get some of him. So let's bump it up to about, I don't know, 20. Don't want to go too crazy. Let's set his max to about 20%. So now if we generate once again, you'll see going to be a little bit more of T. Higgins and Joe Burrow. So here we go. We can see T. Higgins paired up with Joe Burrow. That is great. All right. So from there, another thing that I kind of like to do, and you guys don't have to do this, a position stack that you can run out there is if you're playing a tight end, might as well just play the quarterback. Maybe. That's up to you guys. So you could stack a tight end with the quarterback. Okay. Another thing you can do is restrict a running back against a defense. Okay. You can do that. Or you can just kind of just restrict the defense against a QB and running back, opposite team. Okay. And there we go. So now we're going to go ahead and really get into the stacks though. So we're going to do some team stacks. Which games do we want to be targeting the most of? So we want at least 3 players from these teams when that stack is being put in. So what are the teams that I like the most? Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. I do really like the LA Chargers as a stack as well. Then you could possibly run out Cincy as well. And then another one you could potentially do as well. I do like Pitt. We're throwing Pitt and then Miami. I just like putting Miami in there. So for all these, let's just do kind of by scaled by how much I like them. So I like the Jaguars a lot on this slate. So 20% of the lineups, I do want a Jaguar stack in there. Now that's probably too high for some people. I get it. You don't have to do that. 10 for Cincy. Let's do 5 for Pittsburgh, 10 for Chargers, 10 for Miami. And actually, let's go 15 for Cincy. So let's go ahead and run that real quick. And now we can kind of see, we're starting to get the full picture of what it's looking like. We're seeing a lot of Trevor Lawrence and Zay Jones stacks, which I'm fine with. Okay, that works. And now let's go ahead and take the stacks one step further. We're going to go by player groups. Okay. And I like to do this with the quarterbacks. You can do it with running backs as well, but I like to do it with quarterbacks. So when a lineup includes Trevor Lawrence, okay, I want at least 2 of Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, Kirk, and then I actually like the idea of running it back with some of the Detroit Lions. So DJ Chark potentially, you could go Brown as well. Okay. So that's going to be the first stack that I run out there. And I'm going to do this for all the quarterbacks I like. So Joe Burrow as well. I want at least 2 of, now you could go Chase. He's supposed to be active. You go Higgins. He's supposed to be active. You go Boyd. You could potentially go Hayden Hurst. And then you could run it back with Travis Kelce, possibly Juju as well. So when there's this many players, maybe you do run 3 out, you know, if that's a game that you really want to target. And then Kenny Pickett as well. I want at least 2 as well. We're going to run it back, though, with the Falcons as well. So we are looking at Deontay Johnson, who should be in a good spot. We are looking at Pat Freiermuth, who obviously is in a good spot. George Pickens, okay? And then you run it back with the other side of that. We got Atlanta. You could go Patterson and then Drake London. There we go. And then real quick, a couple more that I like. Aaron Rodgers. Any lineup that includes Aaron Rodgers, I want at least 1 of Christian Watson or Aaron Jones, which is kind of weird, but I think that will work, okay? And then any lineup that includes Justin Herbert. Now we don't need to do that. We're good with what we got here. Okay. So now let's go ahead and run this as well. All right. So we can see the stacks that are being pulled up right now. Joe Burrow. Okay. And this is kind of the optimal way to go about stacking these games, guys, because you are still getting the top running backs and whatnot. And this is where you've been able to have success by doing this. Okay. I do want to call out some players that might be getting a little bit too much ownership, and we'll make some adjustments to that as well. And then we'll be running the 150 max. That just takes a little bit longer. That's why I haven't been doing that. So show usage here. Okay. We can see which players are getting the most ownership. You know, Dameon Pierce, I think, is a great spot this week. Maybe we don't want that much of him. Let's set it to about, 20. Okay. We're still going to be overweight in the field, but don't want to go too crazy with it. Same thing with Christian Watson. You know, I love him, but let's do like 30%. Zay Jones, maybe. Corey Davis, do not want this much of Corey Davis. Let's go 15 for Corey Davis. And see, this is where, guys, I don't like to deselect anyone because I still want the lineup optimizer to do its job. I'm not trying to do the job for the lineup optimizer. It's still going to do its job, okay? We are just telling it what we want it to concentrate on, okay? And if there are 2 players getting too much ownership, that's where we can make some adjustments. Like Zacchaeus potentially could go with 5. You know, I do think he's actually pretty cheap. Trent Sherfield, you know, that's not terrible as well, especially considering like a stack with Tua. That makes sense. You know what? Maybe you're saying, all right, Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow, that's too much of. What you'd want to do, instead of adjusting it here, we got to remember that we did do a team stack with those guys, and maybe you adjust it there first. Okay, but let's reduce them to about 25%, and we'll generate again. And now we have our lineup set up the way that we want. We can see they're really focused on getting the most optimal lineups in there with the running backs, and then we're just running out the stacks. It's a very solid one, and we're still getting 20% of Kyren Williams, which I like. Okay, so I think we have it set up pretty well. There's no one like too high owned that I don't want to be on. Maybe Zacchaeus we could drop a little bit. Could potentially throw in Byron Pringle a little bit, maybe bump his ownership up a little bit so we're getting a decent value play. Chris Moore, let's see where he is as well. Okay, 10%. I'm fine with that. That works. Okay, now we're going to run 150 lineups, and we should be pretty good. And I do want to call it, guys. This will take a little bit. Okay, that's why I wasn't doing it right away. Okay. So just fair warning there. All right, so we have made 150 lineups here, and we can see it's still loving Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs. Maybe that's something you guys want to limit. You could. I don't mind that. I think these three are going to definitely, George Kittle as well. Great tight end play, but I think the top three running backs are going to be Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb. I think Aaron Jones has a great chance to have a great game. Maybe I want a little bit more David Montgomery or potentially Kyren Williams, whatever. That would be up for you guys to set the way you want. And I will say that's probably a little bit too much Zay Jones, although I get it. I want to be on Trevor Lawrence. I want to be stacking that game. So it is pulling that in a decent amount. But we can see a bunch of lineups. So if I was satisfied with this, which it's fine, I could go ahead and download it. Okay, which is pretty good. Do want to call out a few things as well. What you can do is you can set the minimum salary. So it's really chasing an optimal lineup. Maybe instead of some lineups leaving 700 on the table, it's only leaving 400 or something like that. You could also do it by total max ownership. Say you don't want a lineup that's too chalky. Okay, I wouldn't worry about that, guys. Okay, really, you shouldn't worry about that too much, but it's a great way to potentially do that. So it's an easy way to do that. You could just, all right, I don't want my line to be too chalky. Let's go maybe 70% is what you could do. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I don't like doing that, but that's something you can do. Maybe 90% or something. That's something you can do. Like this lineup, pretty chalky, so you could potentially do that. I don't worry about that. I think it's a waste of effort. But that is it for the lineup builder video. Once again, this is the first time I ran this out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give a like and subscribe. That lets me know that you guys want more coverage of this, okay? It's a good thought process video, I think, whether you're using my lineup builder or not. You probably should be $10 a month. Do that for you guys, but whatever. Yeah, let me know if you enjoyed it. I kind of like the thought process. It's just putting in all of our final thoughts for the week. And like I said, tomorrow morning, I will go back in and I'll adjust this as need be and then, import the lineups. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.